Hey, welcome to Genre Exposure, a film podcast. Join us as we explore the wide world of cinema, broaden our horizons one movie at a time. I'm one of your hosts, Dustin, and as usual, I am here with Jason.
Hey, everybody.
What is up, my dude?
It's up, you know. I'm still feeling some
may
soul-crushing
say
dread from
If
last
it's
week.
up, then it's up. Then it's up, then it's up.
Who would say that?
I believe Cardi B
Oh,
would say.
okay. I literally have no idea what the fuck you're talking about. But no. We survived the American presidential election cycle. So far, we've survived it.
We survived October.
I don't know about the next 4 years, but, you know, we'll find out. If nothing else, we'll probably have some good horror films.
Yep. All the many Halloween antics. Hope you enjoyed those.
Yes, that was a good time.
I saw that Unsung Horrors, our friends over there, their Horror Gives Back thing reached its funding goal.
Awesome.
So thanks everyone that participated in that. That's cool. I love to do that and support that every year.
Very cool.
Awesome that they put that on. Awesome that it's for a good cause. Best Friends animal shelter charity
Damn right.
thing.
Yep.
Helping the animals, which we love.
We do. We love them animals.
And we love them so much that we have selected a listener episode that's a cannibal film that surprisingly does not have animal cruelty in it.
No animals harmed in this movie.
Yes, today we're talking about the Green Inferno from 2013, directed by the Eli Roth.
The divisive, sometimes infuriating Eli Roth.
But I'm going to say, you know what? Pretty good guy, Eli Roth.
You know, I like his movies for the most part. And he seems like a nice dude. You know, he's got kind of a frat bro mentality.
He does. He has that dude bro vibe, but like, I don't know.
I think he's a legit horror fan.
I only hear nice things about him, and
yeah.
You know, he's done all this stuff with these paranormal shows now, where he's like, I've told you about some of these, where it's like he's like taking new filmmakers and letting them like do their first like short film,
which is cool. Yeah,
kind of get their foot in the door. I think that's cool.
He gives back. Yeah,
shows a little love.
Definitely.
This came to us from Elena. Thank you, Elena. If you're a regular listener to the show, you are probably familiar with her.
She likes some fucked up movies.
She likes them fucked up movies, and she gave us the master load list of extreme horror films to cover, and we're still working off it.
Yep.
So, thank you, Elena.
I'm all about
will be eternally grateful as we continue to check these off one by one. But before all that, we're going to talk about what we've been watching. And we are part of the Prescribed Films Podcast Network. There's all kinds of other cool shows you could be listening to. So go check out our network page, look at all the other shows, find you some cool stuff to listen to, help you pass the days as we go into these dreary, long winter months.
Yes. They're great for watching horror films, though, aren't they?
Yes, they are.
Or any film, for that matter.
The time.
Any genre, I would say.
You and I were just talking about that the other day off air with like the whole like, oh, it's Christmas time. It's like, ooh, happy cheer. And we're like, no.
It's time for Christmas fucking horror
movies. It's time to tell ghost stories.
That's right.
Because that's how it used to be.
Time to watch the original Black Christmas for the 100th time.
Yes. And now add Terrifier 3 to the rotation.
Yeah. Terrifier 3 is a great Christmas film.
But what I want to know is what you've been watching.
I got a couple of things.
We cooled down from the Halloween times.
Yeah, I got a couple things to talk about. I finally got down to watching Maxxxine.
Okay. I still haven't seen it yet.
Ultimately, it's disappointing.
Oh, no.
Yeah, it really bummed me out because I loved X and I loved Pearl. And I've never been the biggest, T West fan. Or is it Ty West?
Ty West.
Ty West. I've never been the
I could be wrong.
Obviously, I'm not because I don't know how to pronounce his name. I mean, I got like a love-hate relationship with him. I've talked about this before. But briefly, I really, really dug House of the Devil.
Excellent.
I love the first 3/4 of The Innkeepers. Hated the fucking ending. I didn't like his segment in VHS at all.
The Sacrament, super fucking solid.
No, I haven't seen The Sacrament.
I'll vouch for that.
But I fucking loved X, and then I loved Pearl. I'm like, all right, he's speaking to me now. I get it. But then, man, they dropped the ball with Maxxxine. It's very disjointed. It doesn't really know what it wants to do, in my opinion. Like, sometimes it's going on for like a Giallo vibe.
Okay.
Which I'm down for. And it's very appropriate because it's set like in 85, 86, something like that.
Sure. Sleazy Hollywood.
Yeah, but it's just, it doesn't.
Yeah.
Mia Goth she's great in it, but she's kind of wasted.
Okay.
Yeah, there's some good violence, but not enough. It's not enough about her. things kind of like happen to her and she reacts. She's not really driving the plot.
Okay.
You know, and that's annoying.
I will still watch it at some point just to say I have.
I was really hoping they would go for like a Miss 45 sort of angle. That she just goes and starts fucking getting revenge on anyone who
is in her way or screws her over.
Who even barely gets in her way. She's going to cap them. You know?
She's going to be a star.
And it started at the beginning. I thought it was going in that direction because there's this great scene where she just completely fucking ruins a would-be attacker. Just turns the tables on him and just fucks up his world. And I was hoping all the movie would be like that, but it's not. And I don't really like what we got.
Damn.
Like I gave it 2 stars on Letterboxd.
Ooh, okay. See, I was cold on X, but I love Pearl, so I'm curious to where I'll be on Maxxxine.
I have a feeling you'll probably agree with me, actually.
Oh.
Unless you just want to be a fucking contrarian or something.
Now I have to be. Brilliant, 5 stars, film of the year.
Yeah. Fuck you. The other movie I watched, which I liked more, was the first Omen.
Oh, okay.
I finally broke down and watched that.
You know, I heard that director, she's local to Kentucky, I think.
I don't know much about that, actually.
Oh, okay.
I haven't heard that. We'll have to look that up. But it's kind of weird how this came out so close to Immaculate.
It is.
And they're so freaking similar. Immaculate's better. I will say that.
Immaculate was pretty solid.
It was very good. But First Omen's actually a pretty good flick. There's some issues I have with it. It doesn't really quite mesh up, I think, with the first one as much. But there's some good performances. It's pretty artfully shot. It's a good-looking movie. There's some surprising violence. I'm kind of surprised what they did show and what they didn't show. At the end of the day, I would recommend it. Like if you're an Omen fan.
Yeah. So they recently had our local Kentucky theater. They had a film festival thing. It was like 12 Lions or something. Mm-hmm. But she was a guest there. Yeah, and she apparently was originally from Lexington.
Oh, sweet. Good for her. Awesome.
So that's awesome.
It's very well directed. So I'm interested to see what she does next.
Cool.
I would recommend the first Omen. Like if you like the Omen films, which I do, except for that remake, which I didn't bother watching, which is supposed to be shit.
It's pointless.
I never watched that made-for-TV movie either. But it's fairly entertaining. I recommend it. It's not as good as the original Omen. It's not as good as Omen 2, which I'm a big fan of.
Yeah, I would say probably its greatest weakness is that it's part of the Omen franchise.
Right, yeah. And the third one, the one with Sam Neill's kind of weak, but it still has an interesting quality to it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like that one. Don't love it.
Right. I love the first 2. But this is a worthy addition. I dig it.
Cool.
I recommend it. I'm also a sucker for that Catholic, satanic horror shit.
Oh, yeah.
How about you, D? What have you been watching?
Well, I do have some things to report on. I'm going to talk about the original Tomie, just because that got its Blu-ray release from Arrow.
It's a good movie. I like it.
Great movie. Ataru Oikawa directed it. He did some other Tomie films, a lot of like low-budgety horror stuff. It's his wheelhouse to do. Mm-hmm. If you don't know it, Tomie or Tomie, if you want to do the very exact Japanese pronunciation,
I think we should.
It's one of the characters that's like an iconic reoccurring thing created by Junji Ito.
You can't kill her, man.
Can't kill her. Everybody loves her. The girls want to be her.
Dudes want to do her.
Dudes want to have her.
Some girls probably want to do her too.
To the point that it drives you usually crazy. And if you can't get what you want with her, you'll kill her. Mm-hmm. And when she dies, she regrows and multiplies and spreads like a virus.
And fucks you up.
Because this is some classic J-horror shit. Mm-hmm. Junji Ito may be on the brain because we just went through the whole like Uzumaki anime debacle thing. You could listen to me talk about that on the J-Horror Journal side episodes.
It's quite sad.
I broke down the extreme disappointment that everyone went through on that. From the first episode that was like nearly perfect, and then just the other shit that followed.
It's sad. Go back and rewatch the live action film.
Yeah, I actually think a lot of people regard it poorly, but it's not.
I like it.
I like it a lot.
It's great.
And they made it, I think, when 2 of 3 volumes of the manga were done. Mm-hmm. So they didn't even have like the ending to do. They just kind of made up their own thing. Because I know that she was like, "Whoa, it's not the actual ending." And it's like, well,
it's okay.
It's its own.
It's not the actual manga either.
Yeah, but Tomie, you get what you get on the label, man. She's out of school. Some dudes fall in love with her. They kill her. She comes back. She seeks revenge. Kind of the hook of the first film is they've got this detective who's like trailing the cases of Tomie incidents and trying to link up and figure out what's going on and unravel the mystery. Not the best one, definitely not the worst one. There's like nearly 10 of these now, I think. So
yeah, and a lot of them aren't even related, right? They're just
usually each film will pick like one chapter from the manga and kind of blow it up into a movie. So there's lots of them and they're numerous, and hopefully the Blu-ray release was excellent, great quality, good commentaries on there from some different people in the industry. I hope they do more. It's pretty cool. But what I really want to talk about, now that it's officially out there and people can see it, is also motherfucking The Substance.
Okay.
Hell yeah. Ooh.
I haven't watched it yet.
You haven't watched it yet. You have failed me.
So don't say much about it.
You have failed me for the last time.
I will watch it. Have no fear.
You have to watch it because this is the best film of 2024. I'm just saying it now.
I don't think you can say that until Nosferatu is out.
I can. I promise you there's no way. In the back of my mind when we did the Masters of Horror episode, my one lingering thing was, did I make a mistake putting Corley Fargett in my picks? And I am, now that I can talk about this film, can tell you absolutely not. She deserves to be there.
Okay.
Fucking Master of Horror. I mean, it should be an Oscar win for Demi Moore.
Well, then why is it on the Mubi? It's so good.
Because they invested money into it.
Oh.
And you too can go sign up for the free 7-day trial, watch The Substance, then quit, and then tell them, I just signed up to watch The Substance.
Yeah,
Sorry.
Yeah.
I don't care about anything else on your platform because it is not very numerous and I mostly own it on Blu-ray already. But thanks.
I miss video stores.
Yeah. But anyways, The Substance, I mean, you've probably heard about it. It's good. It's blowing up. It's going big. Absolutely worth it. Worth the time to do the trial, to watch it on Mubi. It's long.
You know, no, I actually don't know much about this movie. I've been avoiding it. But for some reason, whenever I think about it, I'm conflating it with like something like The Stuff in my mind. Am I far off? Am I far off in that?
It's got a bit of that humor in there.
Okay.
Not quite, but you'll be surprised. If you haven't had it spoiled, you'll be surprised at the directions it goes. So let me talk broadly about it. So...
very broadly.
Very broadly, it's Demi Moore. She plays a aging actress, roughly the age that she is now. She was super famous. She's very, I think, modeled after Jane Fonda, kind of in vibe. Like, she got her start with like fitness stuff. Then she transitioned into acting and blew up and got super big. And now she's kind of, past her prime. All she's really got is the same deal at the studio she's been at the entire time, and she makes like the exercise videotapes, basically.
Okay.
And she's kind of in this weird place where it's like she's sort of isolated herself. She doesn't have many friends. She's really just got her industry contacts, and that's kind of waning now because she's getting older, so she's not getting cast in stuff.
Sure.
And as perchance would have it, we've got Dennis Quaid playing a very sleazy...
Oh, I like Dennis Quaid.
Studio executive. His name's Harvey. Very probably, on the nose there with that name.
That name should just be retired.
Yeah.
No one needs to have that name anymore.
And there's just like some fucking disturbing scenes of like where they have dinner conversations and it does close-ups on his face as he's eating like shrimp. And it's just like being like so fucking messy and like it's really disturbing, even though it's just a person eating food.
Okay.
But he decides that they want to let her go. They want to let her like retire gracefully and find some younger actress to like keep the exercise tape stuff going.
Sure.
Which there are some weird things in the plot that I think are meant to be like funny, but also like this. You can tell this is like its own world almost of like no one would care today about someone who's doing like fitness video type things like that. Doesn't really matter.
Dude, man, who the fuck knows?
But I don't know.
Whatever TikTok says is popular,
I guess.
It's going to be popular.
So there's a little conceit with that, but like, yeah, so he wants to get rid of her, find someone younger, and she's very dejected and falls into depression. And then she gets introduced to, here we go, Mr. David Cronenberg stepping in. We get that little sci-fi twist.
Woot.
And that twist is there's this secret underground drug called the Substance. And if you use it, it creates a second copy of you that is younger and perfected in every genetic way.
You need to stop explaining what's going on in the movie now. You've explained too much.
Let me just give the core premise. Because you get all of this like right at the start. Like she watches a video and the video tells her all of this like right at the start. So your consciousness can move between the two bodies.
Okay.
However, you can only stay a week at a time in each one. And you have to cycle back and forth to keep that process going.
Okay.
And if you ever mess that up or do it wrong, problems will ensue.
Okay.
And they warn you and they encourage you to keep to those rules.
I'm getting Possessor vibes here.
It's got some Possessor vibes, and it's one of those ones, like, if you love a movie with rules, and they gotta follow the rules, and if they don't follow the rules, shit happens.
Like Gremlins.
Like Gremlins, yeah. And then the other big rule is to always remember, it's two bodies, but you are the same person. There's only one consciousness that flits between them.
Okay.
So she gets this younger self, this younger persona. She gives it a new name, of course, and she applies for the job that she just lost, and handily gets it.
Sure.
Her younger self is played by Margaret Qualley. Does amazing in this role. And it begins to chart then the life of her in both personas as they're kind of trying to go forward and exist. And then things begin to spiral terribly out of control, as you might imagine, because
it's a horror film.
It's a horror film. And you start to confront all the themes in this film about, like, Hollywood and the way it exploits people, and, you know, women's beauty and their self-image, and how much of that is constructed by the world around them and forced upon them, and it's saying some really heavy themes, some really obvious themes too, I guess, but I mean, they're just really, like, sticking it to you good. Amazing fucking body horror moments, amazing fucking, like, horror scenes, thriller scenes, psychological stuff going on.
Okay, all right.
And one of the craziest final act 30 minutes you'll ever see in a film ever, I think. If you look online at reviews, you'll see a lot of people say, I loved it until the last 30 minutes, and then I don't know what happened.
No, that's
it became
it
became shitty. But it's all really, and I can't talk about it because I don't want to spoil it for you, but that last part is that way on purpose, specifically. And it's like, this is high praise from me. It's the very, like, Shion Sono motif of, like, go to the fucking extreme, stretch reality to the point where it breaks, and then, like, punch everyone with the point you're trying to make, so that they walk away upset and have to, like, contend with that in their mind.
Okay.
So very Sono-esque in that way, very Cronenberg with the strange, like, sci-fi twist that's just, like, a little into the future and you turn it. Very Lynchian at times. There's a lot of weird, just, like, character, absurd interactions, strange, like, Gonzo Hollywood stuff going on. Amazing special effects, visual effects. There's actually parts where I was throwing my hands up over my face and then, like, peeking between my eyes because I was so, like, squicked out. And there's a lot of, like, and this is where I'll maybe just end on this. I would say, like, quality of, like, film scholarship and reference. Which what I mean when I say that is, like, it specifically in, like, shots and the way it's framed and done references other films. And it does that in, like, a meaningful way, almost. Like, the studio lot that she works at, a lot of it is set up where it looks like almost like the Overlook Hotel. It's got that, like, checkered kind of honeycomb pattern on the floor, the red walls. There's a scene where she goes to the bathroom, and in that bathroom it's, like, mostly stark white but with red accents, very much like the Overlook, like, bar and restroom area.
Right.
When she begins to use the substance, and I won't go into all the rules of how that works because that's crazy and interesting itself, they frame it almost like the drug scenes in Requiem for a Dream, which I didn't know or expect, and then it really hit me super fucking hard because it's the same thing of, like, you see the liquid being pulled up into the syringe, you see them slam it, you see it inject, it closes up on the eye, like, dilates and does the, like, which straight out of Requiem for a Dream. And so putting it there, like, one, it affected me because that movie in the past had affected me so hard that immediately I was, like, tensing up and being like...
It was one of your scariest movies ever.
I got really nervous. And then at the same time, it's kind of messaging to be like, you know, this isn't just this sci-fi concept. It's also this analog for, you know, like, drugs or, you know, addiction and that kind of thing, too. So just very fucking well, competently made.
Okay.
Right. I give it just all the highest praise possible.
Okay. Well, we'll see.
But now let's tone it down and talk about a little bit more of a pedestrian film.
Oh, spoilers.
All right, so today, the Green Inferno, 2013, Eli Roth, kind of his ultimate send-up of the Cannibal film.
His homage.
His homage.
To Cannibal Holocaust and Cannibal Ferox, a.k.a. Make Them Die Slowly. Mm-hmm. Any of those films.
And in case you missed it at any point at all, when you get to the end of the credits, it says for Ruggero.
Yes.
Just so you remember. Mm-hmm. The man, the myth, the legend.
And of course, The Green Inferno was the name of the movie within the movie of Cannibal Holocaust.
Yes.
It was a documentary that the crew had done before.
Yep.
They were trekking into the Amazon or wherever it was to get it.
Yeah, and again, we have this thanks to Elena. So thank you, Elena, for sending this our way.
Indeed.
So what genre is this?
Cannibal.
Yeah, you know what was funny is everywhere I checked, nowhere acknowledged that.
What?
I guess they don't treat that as like a valid subgenre.
It is a subgenre.
Because here's what I have. Letterboxd called it horror adventure.
Horror adventure.
IMDb proceeded to have this nonsense. Folk horror / jungle adventure / splatter horror / survival / adventure / horror.
What the fuck is that word salad?
Yeah.
Folk horror? What? This is a fucking cannibal movie. Full stop. That's all you need to know.
Yeah. There you go. Period. It's a cannibal film.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So, yeah, you mentioned that it was 2013, but it actually didn't come out until 2015. So I was sitting there watching.
Set in limbo for a while.
Yeah, I was looking at the release date, and I'm like, didn't this come out earlier? I thought this was like 2008 or 9 or something. I was kind of shocked that it was only like less than 10 years ago when it came out, because it feels like it was a lot longer.
Yeah.
Now, did you have any build up to this? Were you like, was this on your radar back then?
I wasn't excited for it because I don't really like cannibal films.
Right.
We've talked about that in some of those other episodes on that topic.
Yeah.
So I was kind of like, I like Eli Roth. I don't think his films are usually perfect, and I usually have issues with them, but I always enjoy them. So I was like keen to see it, but not like I don't need to rush to the theater and see it.
Okay.
So I think this was like a later, like it was on a streaming platform kind of thing, and I watched it.
Okay. I remember seeing it in the theater.
Yeah.
I was excited for it because I do like cannibal films.
And if you like those, how often are we getting a new one?
Yeah, right. We're not going to get like one on the big screen
in the theater. Yeah.
So
sure.
That was part of the attraction, and ultimately, I think, part of the downfall of this film. But we will get into that.
We shall.
So we open the movie. We're in. We find out eventually that it's a Peruvian rainforest. Mm-hmm. We see a couple of indigenous people, this older man and this young boy, and they're going through like picking fruit, and he's obviously instructing him on what to do.
Yep.
Then we hear some noises, and out beyond the trees, you see like construction workers and bulldozers and shit.
Yeah.
This is one of the funniest, unintentionally, I think, cold opens ever, because they show like the scoop of the bulldozer coming out like the trees and stuff, and you see it's like the kid looking surprised, and it's such a weird, and then it cuts, it goes to credits.
Yeah,
it's such a weird cut. It's weird.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's suggesting that they're imperiled by the deforestation.
Yes.
I guess.
Yeah, none too subtly, but yes. And then we do get kind of a cool title sequence. I like this because it's like a bird's eye view of the forest, and the credits are like reflecting down onto the canopy of trees and stuff. It's nice.
Yeah, I enjoy that. Nice. It's one of those things like you wouldn't have got that kind of shot in an old cannibal film.
No, most likely not. Okay, so then what happens?
Then we cut to college, like you do.
Yeah, we're in a university.
And we meet our lead, Justine, played by Lorenza Izzo.
Who we must say was, I don't know if she still is, but was Eli Roth's girlfriend at the time. Mm-hmm.
Continuing a long tradition of horror directors casting their love interest and central role. But I think she's a pretty good actress in this.
Really?
Yeah. I may also just be giving her a pass because she's also in Knock Knock, and that's my favorite Eli Roth movie.
I have not seen Knock Knock. I don't know why. It shows up in my queue, and I'm like, oh yeah, I need to watch Knock Knock.
You're not living, man.
And then I don't.
It's got Anna de Armas in it.
I know.
It's basically like a secret John Wick film.
I know. I need to go back and watch that. I think she does the horror parts pretty well, but I think when she's not imperiled or screaming, I find her a little lacking in this role.
But I think her character is that she's meant to be a little bland.
Her character is vapid, yes. This is true.
But she's waking up because there's some loud noises outside. People shouting, screaming, little megaphone action.
Yeah, there's a bunch of protesters out there.
Yep.
They're on a hunger strike.
They're having a hunger strike.
They want higher wages for the janitors and stuff.
Yeah, they don't pay the janitors enough. They're going on a hunger strike until it happens.
All right.
And they're led by a man named just Alejandro, played by Ariel Levy. He will either make or break this film for you.
He's so over the top.
He's very just like ultimate self-righteous, like social protest leader person type.
Yeah.
And you never really know how serious he is, or if he's like bullshitting, or I mean, you learn as it goes. But at the start, you're kind of like, it's hard to read this guy.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's the whole thing about how it depends on what your attitude toward protesters is.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of like conservatives think they're all just a bunch of spoiled babies, that they're just trying to get attention.
Which this film maybe backs up.
Right. I mean, what is this movie trying to say? And that's something we could talk about later.
Yeah.
But he fits that mode. He's that, uber liberal, self-righteous, social justice warrior, if we should resurrect that horrible term. So yeah, we find out that Justine is feeling like, hey, maybe I should do something. I should get involved with these
She's
people.
feeling a little listless.
Yeah.
She doesn't know her direction in life.
And her roommate is Casey.
Yeah, played by Sky Ferreira.
Who apparently is a entertainer of some sort.
She's pretty awesome. She's good in this role, even though it's a slight role.
I don't like her acting in this role.
Really? I loved it. Just the whole, like, I don't care attitude thing.
But it's just, I think her performance is not great.
But she's very cynical, and she's kind of just like, whatever, those protesters,
She's
let me
also
sleep.
very hot. I will say that on a very surface level. I just must say that she is very attractive.
Okay. It's committed to film.
No, I think that she's trying to act a certain way too. It's that, and we get more of that Eli Roth like provoking dialogue, which she'll say, and I'm just going to quote things like retarded or gay and things like that, which is supposed to stick you. You know, it's supposed to poke you.
Yeah, it's the plan.
We can argue that too. Anyway, please.
But yeah, so there's a little just slow build up. We learn that her dad is a UN ambassador. Mm-hmm. We learn that she used to be really good at playing the flute, but she kind of gave that up.
Mm-hmm. And her dad chastises her for not wearing the silver necklace that her mother gave her.
Yep. Which is a little tiny flute.
Little tiny flute. Save that for later. Plot point.
And then she makes friends with a dude named, is it Jonah?
Jonah, because they're
Played
in a class together.
Aaron Burns.
Yeah, they're in a class together where the teacher's talking about female genital mutilation.
Yes.
Which is fucking horrifying and gross. And I don't care if it's part of a person's culture. It's fucked up. All right? I'm going to go on record and say that. It's fucked up.
You're making you're planting a lot of flags this episode.
Hey, dude, after this past week, I don't give a shit. All right?
Yeah, but she even asked the question of like, it's so wrong. Why don't people stop that? Why don't people do anything about it?
Yeah.
And the teacher's kind of just like, that's...
What are you going to do? And that's part of the problem.
What are you
That's
gonna
what
do?
I just said. It's like, oh, you don't like this person's culture. You're going to go in and change it.
She's like, it would take, basically a war to go there to blow everything out and then set it up the way we wanted. So, give or take. But Jonah catches her interest, and he's like, hey, I'm part of that activist group. Maybe you want to come to one of our meetings.
Yeah, gives her a flyer. Say, hey, come join us. Just listen. Give us a chance. Do anything.
But part of it, too, is she's kind of into Alejandro.
Well, yeah.
She's giving him the looks.
Yeah.
He's got that, like, rugged sex appeal.
Yeah. He's a good-looking dude.
That spins between charismatic individual and cult leader, I think. But because notably, he also has a girlfriend in the group, Kara, played by Ignacia Alamond.
Yes, which Justine seems rather upset about.
Yep.
And there's that funny scene at the group where he's talking about what's going on. He gives us the plot that there's this villages that are getting just raised in the
Amazon.
forest, in Amazon, and
it's a petrochemical company. They want to drill all the oil out of there.
They want the oil out from the land, so they're just raising the villages and killing the people. And she's like, well, what are you going to do? Are you going to go there and like starve yourself and protest?
And he immediately is like, We're done. Get out of here.
Yeah, he's like, you must be a freshman. And then this incredibly funny line. And she's like, yeah, so? And she's like, and he says something like, only a freshman would say something so insolent. It's fucking hilarious. And I choose to believe it's meant to be funny. It's so funny. Oh, God.
I think it is meant to be funny, though, because I think it's like, that's his character. Like, he's not used to being challenged about anything.
Right.
He just wants everyone to buy his bullshit.
Yeah, because everyone hangs on his every word and worships him and shit like that.
Which she brings up her connection with her father.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, he works at the UN. We could maybe, like, talk to him, see if they can, like, leverage some pressure. And Alejandro's not really having it. He's like, look, there's nothing we can do. It's about to go down, like, right now. We just got to get down there. If we just expose what's going on, that will, like, shame them out of completing the process.
Right. So basically their plan is they're going to go down there and they are going to stream everything live, because this company has these militia guards there that are taking out anybody who gets in their way, all the villagers and stuff. They're thinking, hey, we'll go down there, we'll be streaming it, they can't kill us all.
Right. It would make an international incident.
Right. So that's their plan.
Nice and simple.
Sure. They just have to get down there first.
Her father kind of tries to dissuade her. Okay, we get that whole angle. Even her buddy is kind of like, are you sure you want to do this?
Yeah, her roommate says this is fucked up. Don't go down there.
Yeah. But she decides to go. She wants to try to make a difference in the world.
Yep. So they go and they meet, what's this guy's name?
Carlos, right?
Carlos, yeah. He's like their contact.
It was actually a drug dealer, it's implied.
It's implied. He does provide one of the guys with a baggie of weed that he says is very potent.
Yeah, I love that because he's like, does anybody want anything? And one dude's like, can I get some weed?
Yeah, he's like, sure, no problem.
Which this is where we first get into like the kind of, I guess, the social commentary on activism. Because like they get in Peru and it's very like, they do all the swanky shit. They stay in a nice hotel. They have this big like dinner feast at a table, everyone together.
Yeah.
You see kind of like the life in the city of everyone just walking around, and then they're in these like little motorized carts.
They're the mostly white privileged people riding around saying, oh, look how quaint. Yeah, that kind of thing.
Yeah, and you get the pastoral of them like looking at everything and ooh, travelogue kind of thing.
Yeah, everything's Instagram photo or whatever.
Yeah.
And well, that's really when the dude, when Alejandro drops it on the people that they've got like armed guards shit there, and they might get shot.
Yeah,
and then he's like, well, no one's forcing you to do this. If you're going to back out, back out. But of course, he shames everyone, and bullies them into saying, no, let's go, it's cool, all right, sure.
And then we get like the boat ride in, which is kind of interesting.
Oh, when they're asking where the bathroom's at?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, are we near a village or somewhere that we can use the bathroom? And they just, pull up along the shore, and it's like, go in the woods.
I love that the guy doing the boat's like, here, take the machete. And they're like, why? It's like, it's for the snakes.
Yeah.
And so, like,
so he's like, I can hold it. What's this dude's name?
God, I don't know.
The redhead, the not Seth Green guy. It doesn't matter.
They're all kind of interchangeable.
Yeah.
And they all have names like Amy, Samantha, Daniel.
Yeah, no one really kind of sticks out. That's another issue with this movie, I think.
Definitely.
The characters are pretty weak for the most part.
There's a few well-defined ones, and then the rest are just sort of whatever.
So not Seth Green says, I can hold it, I'm cool. So Justine grabs the machete and he's like, fuck this, I'll go up there. So he's like, okay, well, I'm going to go too. And you have another machete, and the dude just hands him a gun.
Yes.
Yeah.
But then I love it because she's like up there and she's found a spot and is, kind of squatting. And he comes up beside her and she's like, hey, this is the girl's spot.
This is the girl's tree. Yeah, go find another one. Yeah. So he goes out and takes a piss, and we get almost a wiener shot.
I love this. Like, Eli Roth doesn't care to be like very vulgar with like the camera angles and stuff. So we get like.
Well, it's only fair. How many women have been,
a slight like shaft base.
Yeah. But it's also pretty funny because
a scorpion on the tree.
It's a spider.
Oh yeah, a spider. It's a spider. Yeah.
Which I thought might trigger you.
Not really.
No.
No.
I bet it would if you were in his position.
Oh, yeah, sure. I would have checked the area better first. I was in Boy Scouts.
Yeah, we hear like gunshots, and he comes running out of the forest. He says the tarantula almost bit his dick off.
And then there's also, they pass by like this rocky outcropping, and they see, is it jaguar, I think?
Yes.
Yeah.
And they take it as a good omen.
Yeah, they say that's like a good sign. Allegedly.
So they get to the site, and they've got a bunch of stuff there already waiting for them. It's like
they have uniforms,
hard hats, yeah, so they can blend in. So they get there, and they find the construction crew working, raising the forests. They put on masks. They say this isn't about the individual. No. This is about the movement.
Very anonymous.
Yeah, they're wearing very anonymous like masks, and they chain themselves to trees. But Justine's chain won't lock.
Yep. And it implies a little trickery there.
Yeah, because they're kind of filming her especially. And one of the dudes, one of the mercs, runs up to her and like pulls her off the tree.
They're checking every person to see if the chains are locked.
Right.
And when they find her, she can't get it locked, so they're like, oh, pull you out then.
Yeah, and they're live streaming the whole thing. They said they have a satellite uplink, blah, 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 so they can live stream it.
And it's a tense moment, man. They have the gun to Justine's head.
Right.
They're ready to fire. And then Alejandro challenges them. He's like, all right, go ahead and shoot her.
Yeah.
She's the daughter of someone that works at the UN. Are you ready to handle that?
Right, yeah. So it's obvious at this point that they were just fucking using her for that very reason.
Yeah. So that's a much bigger bargaining chip.
Yeah. Although the question occurs to me, like, so what if they're chained to the tree? They can still fucking shoot them. I mean, why not just, they can, the tree's not going to protect them. They can still fucking shoot them. Anyway. So they're wondering what to do. The mercs, and the dude gets a phone call, and it's obviously his boss. And apparently they say, hey, let him go. Yep. We don't need this kind of heat. So then we cut to them all celebrating. Except for Justine, who's a little pissed off.
Yeah, because she realizes, like, oh, you only kept me in because of my connection.
And they're all escorted back.
They're going to get jailed, but Carlos bribes the police to let them go.
Yeah. And even Jonah was in on it. Like, he knew what they were doing. Although he says he didn't know it was going to go that far.
Yeah, he's like, I didn't know we were going to go that far, but sometimes you have to do these kind of things to get results.
Yeah. But on that little plane on their way back...
I do like, before we get into the plane ride, I do like the shadiness of, like, there's a part where they make them take all their passports up, and it's kind of like an unnerving thing, but then whenever they're, like, doing the deal under the table, they get the passports back from the police.
Right.
Which I thought was clever.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're on the plane ride home, and we've kind of teased this a little bit, because in the first plane ride, and I don't remember her name, it's one of the interchangeable female ladies of the team. She is like very nervous and anxious all the time. That's her defining trait.
Right.
And she even says something about, like, I hate these little planes. I always feel like they're going to crash.
I want to say her name is Amy.
That might be Amy, yeah. Kirby Bliss Blanton. That sounds right. Sure.
Shows you how much we care to write down things. It's Amy. And her name is Amy.
So predictably, this second plane flight, they're just cruising over the jungle, headed home. And when you know it, the engine blows out.
Mm-hmm. And this part I do like. It's a good plane crash.
It's a good plane crash. It's a damn good plane crash.
Because they're like, doing barrel rolls, so everyone's like, upside down and shit's flying around.
The way they film it's really cool.
Yeah, it's very well done.
And then I like when the back section tears off and the one chick's, like, her seat just rips out.
Yeah, people are just flying out the back of the fuselage. And they crash into the forest, and a big old branch goes like through one of the pilots' heads. That's a good scene.
Carlos dies in the crash.
Yes. And they finally land. Some of them are stumbling out. More people get killed. Like, there's the guy that just walks into the prop that's still spinning. That was fun.
That was cool.
Yeah, Carlos is impaled on like a tree branch. And they're like, what the fuck are we going to do? Right here in the middle of nowhere. There's no cell signal out here, of course. So
then is this Lars? I think maybe Daryl Sabara.
It's Daniel.
Daniel, played by Nicholas Martinez.
Yeah, he's like, I got a GPS. Let's find that.
Yep. It's kind of like a black box thing. It's meant to survive the crash.
But they see people walking in the forest, and suddenly the
It's Kara, his girlfriend.
Kara
His girlfriend.
is like walking forward, and suddenly she gets an arrow through the neck.
And as Alejandro's kind of trying to check on her and figure out what to do, all of them get darted.
Yep.
And pass out.
Yep. And Kara gets like arrowed right in the head, finishing her off. But everybody else gets darted. They pass out. And they wake up, and they're being led through to this little village.
Yeah. Which now that the tribe's in the mix, so they're just an unnamed Peruvian headhunter tribe. But they were actually portrayed by a peaceful tribe from the area, the Kalanyaku.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this is amazing because they basically went out to this village to be like, hey, do you want to be like extras in our film?
Yeah. And they're like, what the fuck are you talking about?
And they're like, what's a film?
Yeah, what's a movie?
And so they got a TV, brought it there, brought them a copy of Cannibal Holocaust, showed it to them, and they thought it was the funniest thing in the world.
Yeah, they thought it was hilarious.
And they were like, you want us to pretend to be like headhunters? And they were like, yeah.
And they're like, okay, cool.
And like they were super eager about it. And apparently like they would even come to him and be like, well, it would be scarier if we did XYZ instead.
It's great. And they're having a ton of fun.
And it's one of those things where you think like, is this exploitative? And I actually think they kind of approach this in a good way just because like it's a fictional tribe.
Right.
They didn't put any of their culture into like what it is.
Right. Yeah.
They kind of just based it on broad concepts of what is known about those sorts of tribes.
Yeah. And that's one of the problems with cannibal films in general, right? You're just exploiting this whole savage native narrative and shit like that, you know.
So I like that they actually like were very earnest with them and, you know, invited them to take part, let them have the choice.
Yeah.
Showed them everything.
And I'm sure they had a hoot doing it. But this seems fairly effective because they're all being let in and no one knows what's going on. And the villagers themselves are quite striking because they have like red paint on them and stuff. And some have yellow paint. Some have black paint, like the one dude with the big...
Yeah, there's like a whole kind of caste system thing going on with the paints. I had a note about that. So what we see, just to chart it now, we've got yellow, which we only ever see on what's the elder, the female leader of the tribe.
Yeah.
We've got primarily black with a facial shading of yellow, and that's on one individual, and he's like the current main headhunter.
He's the guy with the big ox jawbone.
Yeah, and he's got the cool like nose ring that like stretches all the way around his head.
Yeah.
And then the standard villagers are red, and then the female villagers undergoing rite of passage are kind of painted up very pale white with shadings of red.
Yeah.
Which we will get into that later.
Indeed. But they're being led into the village and they're seeing like heads on spikes and shit like that and like rotted bodies hanging from posts. So these people are obviously, I mean, you know, for lack of a better term, headhunters, right?
Yeah. That's what they do.
Yeah. Which is kind of interesting because one thing about like Cannibal Holocaust is that the villagers were peaceful, but they were driven to savagery by the Western world invading.
Right.
You know,
That like push them over the edge.
and there's not really that narrative here. It's not like the construction crew forced this tribe to become savage. You know?
Yeah, this is just what they were, and that's the commentary I think on the like shallow activism thing of like they came there because they were like, oh, these poor villagers, we have to help them.
Yeah.
And now they are at the mercy of said villagers.
Right. Yeah.
As a counterpoint.
Because foreign places are scary, especially in Eli Roth's world.
Yeah. Especially if it's Eastern Europe. Apparently.
So the lady you mentioned, who's in the yellow paint, the elder, she comes out and she's like kind of inspecting everybody. She's got this big like finger bone claw thing too.
She uses it to check people, check their blood.
Yeah. She kind of gives Justine a little smile too, like she knows something.
She's got a good feeling about her.
So
they bring him in. They put him in a cage.
In a pig pen, yeah.
And they pull Jonah out, though.
Yeah.
He's looking kind of nice.
Yeah.
So nice they're going to put him on the stone altar that they have at the center of the village.
Yeah, they give him a little something to drink. You know, he's drinking it, saying thank you.
It's so funny. He's like, oh, thank you.
Yeah. But no, they got other plans for him.
Yeah, they proceed to dismember him limb by limb.
Yep.
Tear out his eyes.
Tear out his tongue.
The
elder eats it.
Eating pieces here and there.
They start chopping off his limbs.
Yep, they take the debris that was Jonah and they put it in like a little smokehouse to smoke it.
This scene, okay, so the effects are by K&B,
Yeah.
who are fucking masters. There's no disputing that, and they're not bad effects
I think they're
by
good.
any means. But at the same time, I kept thinking of like the Black Knight and Monty Python when this was going on.
Oh, okay.
Because he lives for so long. He's pretty much.
Oh, yeah. You see him like twitching and stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think shock and blood loss would kill you probably after a couple of limbs are gone. But, maybe not. Maybe not. But it does get to the point where it's almost just kind of ridiculous, which is one of my issues with this movie. It's not, like, I don't think it was gory or shocking enough.
Mm.
I don't think it went far enough.
Censors would disagree with you.
Censors can suck it. And I know, I'm jaded. I saw all the cannibal horror films.
Yeah,
yes. And this is a mainstream movie. Yeah, how gory do you expect it to be? I know. But
It's actually Blumhouse, which was crazy.
Yeah.
Well, there was a Blumhouse Tilt, which was like their side imprint for like more out there stuff.
But if you're trying to sell me a cannibal film and you're invoking cannibal holocaust, you better fucking bring the goods, And gore-wise, this movie doesn't.
Okay. Well. Mm-hmm. Well, I was satisfied, but...
Okay, well, you're not a
you
gore
need
hound like
You need
me.
a little more,
I needed more, dude. I needed more.
So everyone else, they're jammed in this cage. The bars aren't greatly constructed. They're pretty sure they can climb up the top, but they have guards watching them 24/7 with those poison darts.
Yeah, someone tries to climb up and they just get... Yeah.
Just really funny.
There's the cool scenes where they're like preparing his body and stuff, like putting salt on it. And you could tell they're like, the older people are explaining to the younger people how to do it.
Yeah, and the kids are all excited and running around and being happy about it.
That's great.
And this is where, in like debating about what to do, Alejandro kind of gives the rest of the plot to everyone. Mm-hmm. That the protest they did was staged and it was being run by a rival petrochemical company that I think it's owned by his father, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and so the plan was to run out the other company, make Alejandro's group super famous for stopping them, let his father's company come in and finish the job and get all the money and accolades.
Yeah, so the crew's still coming. They're on their way.
But they can use their clout now to actually be true activists for things because they have all this momentum and fame and notoriety.
Right.
Which devastates Justine because she realizes that
everyone, they're all pissed off. But yeah, especially her because she was used so terribly.
Yeah. And so he's like, the best thing we can do is just stay in this cage and chill and do everything that we can do to not upset them or anger them or startle them.
Yeah.
And just wait for the other construction company to get here in like 2 or 3 days.
Mm-hmm. And they're like, we're not going to last 2 or 3 days. And he's like, well, we might not all die.
That's a sacrifice I'm willing to make.
Yeah. I'm willing to sacrifice your bodies. So we get some scenes of them munching on Jonah. And there's a funny scene where Amy is sick and she has to take a shit.
Oh, yeah. I love that Eli Roth never shies away from a crude moment.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. But I also love how this is presented to be like just as horrifying as someone getting eaten.
Well, it's funny because they isolate her to a corner to try to like separate it. And she has the humility of it happening. And then all the children come around and are laughing at her and like waving their hands and being like, ew.
And there's some great fart noises and stuff.
Yeah, it's very demoralizing.
Yeah. But I mean, that would happen. I mean, that's what would happen.
Then we get a scene where they come and they take all the women, which is Justine, Amy, and Samantha. So Samantha, we've not really talked about. She's played by Magda Epanowicz.
Yes, and she and Amy are together. They're an item.
Yeah, and Samantha's kind of the tough chick.
Mm-hmm.
We learn later that she did track. She's really athletic, really strong. She's got some tattoos.
Yep.
All cool.
Mm-hmm.
And she's been trying to keep Amy calm this entire time.
Right.
But they take the ladies and put them through the old virginity test.
Mm-hmm.
Which is...
Only one passes.
Yes, Justine passes. And they decide that they need to start preparing her to be celebrated in the tribe and graduated to womanhood.
You sound like you're condoning this.
I'm just giving their perspective.
Okay, fair enough.
And it's really like demoralizing too because like they basically paint her up and then send her back, and the rest of the group realizes what's happening, but it's not really sunk into Justine yet of like what they're planning to do.
Right. So they're like, okay, we got to get the fuck out of here, and Lars has a plan. He uses his cell phone. He like sets the ringer and he throws it, distracts one of the guards.
Yep.
Whilst, I'm sorry, what was her name again?
Samantha.
Samantha makes a run for it.
Yep. She sees a boat at the edge of the village.
Yeah. She jumps into the canoe and then we cut.
Yep. And she just says that she'll get as far away as she can. She'll find help. She'll be back as soon as she can.
Yep. In the meantime, yeah, they bring Justine back. She's all kind of painted up ritualistically. They got something planned that's pretty obvious.
And they bring them food because they are prisoners. They do have to maintain them.
They got to eat, sure.
Fatten them up for the meal.
Mm-hmm. And they're chowing away. They're like, it's...
Well, Amy doesn't want to eat it because her first thing is like, I'm vegan.
Yeah, and it's like pork scraps.
Is there any meat in this?
Right. But she starts eating it, and okay, fine. I got to survive. While she's doing...
Alejandro makes the point, we have to eat to have our strength if we're going to survive.
Yeah, just fucking eat it. Which he's right about this. And while that's happening, Justine's making friends with one of the little boys there with her flute.
Yeah, she shows him how she can play it and make music, and he's intrigued.
Yeah. So Amy's like eating away.
This scene's great.
She gets to the bottom of her bowl, and it's like, what the fuck? And it's like a piece of skin with a tattoo on it. Then we get the helpful flashback of her girlfriend with the tattoos.
But then I love it cuts to the children and they have the flesh scraps and they're slapping it on their body and being like, ooh, look, I've got a tattoo.
Look, yeah, it's great. It's great. And this scene I legitimately love because she just immediately, she realizes what's happened. She just smashes the clay pot they gave her to eat out of and just slices her neck.
Yep.
And it's a good effect too. It's very simple but good.
And what happens after this?
Blood spurt. She dies.
She dies.
Mm-hmm.
And Alejandro begins to jack off.
Well, not right after.
I mean, it's pretty right after.
Well, they decide, okay, she's dead, so they're going to come eat her, take her away and eat her. So they're like, okay, hey, I got a plan. You still have that weed, which is supposed to be like mega great weed.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, yeah, okay. So they push the weed down her throat. And yeah, that's when Alejandro's jacking off for no great reason.
And they're like, the fuck are you doing, man? And he's like...
Something about relieving stress.
Yeah, he's like, it's psychologically proven that if you're in a tense situation, the best thing you can do is to relieve stress so you think more clearly.
I mean, okay. Sure.
And it's funny because...
It's funny because one of the dudes goes over and kind of like starts kicking him and hitting him. You still hear him fapping off.
The brass balls on this guy, man.
Like he's choking him, and Alejandro seems to kind of dig it, and you just hear it continue.
You just hear him go harder.
Yeah.
It's weird. It's a weird scene. And I'm kind of glad it's in here because it's...
Yeah, it's very funny. It's very funny. So the cool looking dude in the black paint and the yellow paint on the face comes in, takes the body, and they take it out and cook it.
And then they start blazing.
Yeah, so everyone's eating the body and shit, and yeah, sure enough, it affects them. This scene bothers me too, because I don't care how good this weed is, it's not going to affect 200 fucking people.
I don't know.
Plus, you don't just eat an animal with all the guts intact. You take that shit out. So the stomach contents would have been removed. They wouldn't have cooked everything in there like that. But whatever. But they all get high and they're all fucked up. So they're like, okay, well, this is our chance to try to escape. Like the guard above him just literally falls out of the tree. He's so stoned.
Fucking drops.
Yeah.
It's funny too because you get all these scenes of them being goofy and like having fun, and then they all just start passing out.
Yeah. So everyone's trying to get out of the cages. Alejandro doesn't think it's a great idea. So
much so that he takes one of the darts that missed and tranquilizes Lars to keep him around.
Yeah. And he's like, hey, one more person, maybe they won't get me, and you guys aren't going to make it, basically. So he's a real shithead.
Yep. So Justine and Daniel rush off into the jungle.
Yep.
Their plan is to make it back to the plane.
Find the GPS.
Find the GPS phone.
And he can send like an SOS through that, apparently. Not Seth Green wakes up to a couple of the natives hanging out above him. And they're like laughing and giggling. And he's like trying to entertain them with stupid little optical illusions. Like moving his thumb.
He does like I can touch my finger.
Yeah. But then they like start grabbing his fingers and start eating them. It's like, oh, they got the munchies. Oh.
I love that he fucking says it. It's so dumb.
So goofy. But yeah, he starts trying to run away, but everyone's attacking him and they eat him alive.
Yep.
Because they're so stoned and hungry, they eat him alive. So then it becomes almost a zombie film for a little bit.
Yeah.
Which is Cannibal Film's cousin.
Definitely. It has that vibe too, where they all like are swarmed around him.
Oh yeah, it's such a zombie sequence.
It's very much blocked in the way of like a Fulci film or later Romero stuff.
And it's proper that because Greg DiCatiro did work on this. It's KMB, and one of his first jobs, fucking Day of the Dead. You know,
yeah, hell yeah.
He knows how to film a zombie.
There's
scene.
some good like zombie swarms in that.
Yeah, the man knows what he's doing. That's what I'm trying to say here. So Justine and Daniel, after a misadventure in the river.
Yeah, this is like the one scene I don't care a lot for because it's kind of just padding.
It's very much padding.
They do this whole thing where they have to jump in the river for a minute, and Justine messes up and gets washed away, and then he has to like fish her out of the river.
Yeah, it's like I know what's gonna happen. Blah blah blah.
It doesn't really build or serve any purpose.
No, it doesn't. You know. They get back to the crash site. It's night, and they see their dead friends up on poles, a la Cannibal Holocaust.
Yep.
Although not nearly as
very direct
effective
homage.
It's not coming out their mouth or anything. They're just sort of impaled on the posts.
Yeah.
He gets the GPS, but the battery's dead. And natives come upon them and
capture them,
tranquilize them, and take them back. And Justine is hogtied on this apparatus, being prepared for her rite of passage or whatever.
Yeah.
Sure, whatever you want to call it.
And meanwhile, they've tied Daniel to a stake outside.
And the dude's whacking his bones with his...
So they got to punish him for thinking he could escape.
And they're breaking his bones. He's tied up onto this post. Then they're smearing the shit all over him.
That attracts some terrible-looking CGI ants.
Terrible-looking CGI ants.
Which is definitely a knock I have to give the film.
Mm-hmm. And Daniel's saying, no, not the ants. Oh!
The bees. Which is worse, this or the bee thing from...
Oh, the bee thing's way worse.
Okay, absolutely.
Way worse.
For sure.
So yeah, they are about to perform their horrible rite of passage.
This is a good like bit of tension building where like they're right there. She has like it's scary because you go through Justine like screaming and begging, and they're like sharpening the tool and all this other stuff and doing other preparatory things.
Yeah.
And then the elder comes in. She picks up the tool. She has it like right there about to start. And then there's a call from out in the village.
Yeah.
And she gets distracted because one of like, I guess he would be like a scout or something for the village, returns, and he's got the head of one of the construction workers.
Right. Like, these dudes are coming. It's
like, hey, these guys are like running right up on us. What are we going to do?
Yeah. And I do want to give credit to, I was a little harsh on her earlier, but Lorenza Izzo is really good in this scene.
Yeah.
All the, like, the hard parts, I think she really sells.
Hell yeah.
And this is not like a comfortable scene to film.
Had to be super hard.
I will always give actors and actresses props for stuff like this. It's very brave to do something like this, and she does a good job here.
And so they decide they have to rally the war party. Everybody goes out. And they're going to take on these guys, stop them, kill them.
Yeah, meanwhile, there's another woman tending to Justine.
It's funny because they're going to use that like knockout powder to put her to sleep.
Yeah.
And she blows it back in the dude's face.
Yeah, that's great.
But the little boy shows up. And he unties her wrists. Lets her free.
Yep. But she also fucking stabs that woman, doesn't she?
Yeah, she does.
Yeah.
Absolutely she does. So she's released. She goes to check on Daniel. He is not looking so hot.
Yeah, he's saying, fucking kill me. She's like, I can't. So the little kid like blows some of that powder in his face, kind of knocks him off, and then just nonchalantly slits his throat.
Yeah.
Which, at that point, that's a fucking mercy killing. There's no way he's making it out of there.
And so he kind of guides her to like the edge of the forest. As they're leaving, Alejandro begs and begs. And he's like, Justine, wait, come back for me. Get me out of here. And she's just like, nah.
It's like, fuck you, buddy.
You stay.
Yep. And meanwhile, there's a couple of other villagers in pursuit. And one of them's like a younger girl. And she gives a look to the boy who she knows let Justine escape. That's just like, fucker, you idiot. I just imagine that's like his older sister, you know, and she's giving him shit for being
like,
such
damn it.
Yeah.
But there was a final moment between Justine and the little boy right before she runs off, where he gives her back her flute necklace.
Yes.
And then she's like, no, you keep it. Mm-hmm. Keep it as like a memento.
Yeah.
Just a sweet little moment.
It is. And then she gets out to the clearing, and a bunch of the villagers are being killed by the mercs.
Yeah, she kind of runs into the middle of the chaos.
Uh-huh. But she has a cell phone. I think she found
Well, before this, though, they chase her to one point where, like, she's got to cross some water.
Oh, the jaguar's there.
And the jaguar's there.
And nothing happens.
And she hesitates. And then she kind of dives in and goes past it, and the villagers, like, stop. And they're like,
yeah.
Don't want to fuck with the jaguar.
That's true. The jaguar does kind of ward off the...
Which calls back to the earlier scene that it was a good omen.
Mm-hmm. I guess so.
But then she runs into the construction site. She finds a phone. She gets the phone up, is doing the whole activist thing again.
And she's got no signal. I don't think the phone's even working, but she's like, you know,
pretending.
Internet, you know, I'm filming you.
Internet, cell phone, filming.
Filmo, she says. Yeah, so then they're like, oh, fuck this shit. What? And they're trying to grab her, but she throws the phone down to smash it. And they're checking it to see, hey, was she actually filming us? Was she actually streaming? I don't know.
And same kind of thing. They get a call. They say, like, hey, bring that chick in.
Yep.
Don't kill her.
Yep. And they put her on a helicopter and fly her off while Alejandro's screaming at her.
Oh, but they do kill most of the tribe.
They do kill most of the tribe.
They just fucking smoke them because they have assault rifles and shit.
Right. And she leaves Alejandro, and later she's getting, like, a debriefing.
Well, yeah, we smash cut to this, like, military debriefing.
Yeah. It's like the end of Raiders of the Lost Ark.
It is, yeah, kind of. And they're asking her, you know, what, was anyone else alive? Were there any survivors? And she's like, no.
And she's saying how the villagers were peaceful, and they helped her, and they weren't... One of the dudes says, hey, they were reputed to be fucking headhunters. Did you see any of that?
Yeah, was there any sign at all? And she's like, no, they were totally peaceful. Which is a weird choice.
Yeah, I don't understand that.
Yeah.
I don't understand that. Like, why...
Why hide that?
Yeah. Because people are going to go there now.
Yeah.
And they're going to figure out how, well, these fucking Yura remains are here, you know? So I don't understand that one bit.
Yeah. It's a little odd.
Then we get like a dumb Carrie-esque dream sequence, which is annoying.
Oh, yeah. She thinks she sees Alejandro and she like freaks out and bites him or something weird.
Yeah. He's like, I made it out. And then she like, bites him and whatever.
And then we cut, and it's kind of like the opening of like the college scene again. She's in her dorm. She wakes up. There's people outside screaming. She goes out to check. It's activists again. They're protesting on campus. They're doing another hunger strike. Mm-hmm. But what alarms her is they have these red shirts now, and the red shirts are emblazoned with Alejandro's face.
And it's like Che Guevara, you know, like his shirt.
The very like contrast, like black white.
The funniest shirt I ever saw in my life was a picture of Che Guevara, and beneath it was, I have no idea who this guy is.
Oh, that's probably true for a lot of people that have those.
I love it. I love that shirt. It's so funny.
And that would be a fine stinger to end on. But it's not, because we get a mid-credit teaser.
Yeah. Justine's going about her business. It gets a phone call. And it's someone named Lucia who says that she is Alejandro's sister.
Yeah, and she says, I need to talk to you because I've been given a satellite photo. And I'm going to send it to you for you to look at, but I'm pretty sure this is Alejandro. What do you think? And then we get the photo, and it's just him wandering the jungle, and he's painted up like the headhunter.
Yeah, he's painted it black, but better than anything. And I know you can get pretty good detailed satellite imagery and stuff, but it's like it's zoomed right on him with crystal clarity.
It's like the Minority Report, like zoom enhance.
Yeah. But he's also looking up directly at the camera of the satellite, like he knows where it's at.
Yeah,
it's so fucking stupid. And that's our stinger. That's our setup for the Green Inferno expanded universe or something.
It had a title. It was going to be called Beyond the Green Inferno.
It's stupid.
Nicolas Lopez was attached to be the director. And in May of 2016, any info about it trickled into nothingness, and it's never been mentioned again.
Right. which I'm fine with.
There you go.
Yeah, sorry, but I'm fine with that.
Ambitious. Didn't need a sequel. I'm going to say that.
No, it didn't need a sequel. And I really appreciate Eli Roth's enthusiasm for the whole Cannibal thing, because who else was going to bring a Cannibal film to theaters?
True.
In the modern age,
Who could be so bold?
Yes,
but Eli Roth.
Only Eli Roth.
Yeah, it was apparently at the 2012 Cannes Film Festival. He announced to the world he was working on this film. Worldview Entertainment was going to finance and produce it. Let's see what else I got that's fun about it. In an interview in February of 2013, he said, "While we're making a Cannibal film, I want this to look like a Werner Herzog or Terrence Malick film."
Yeah, that's Eli Roth should not compare himself to them.
Obviously, its biggest connecting thing to in the past is Cannibal Holocaust. Eli Roth's been on record as that's one of his favorite horror films of all time. Obviously, the name referenced the Green Inferno, like you mentioned.
So I read a story that the tribe offered them like a 2-year-old child.
Yeah, I have that.
Production crew as a thank you.
Yeah.
And the production designer was like, no thank you. I appreciate the offer, but no thank you.
Yeah.
I wonder if that's true.
It is alleged to be true. And then while Cannibal Holocaust is definitely the main inspiration, you have to also mention Cannibal Ferox too, I think. Because
AKA Make Them Die Slowly.
That's got the whole like kind of karmic rebuttal of everything.
Yeah, that was actually the first Cannibal film I ever saw. That was a weird time because I watched that with some high school friends who weren't into horror films like me.
Ooh.
And they were like, what the fuck is this?
Yikes. A lot of the people that worked on this film, acting-wise, they appeared in Aftershock in 2012, which also starred and was co-written by Eli Roth.
Did you ever see that one?
I did not. Is it any good?
It's very much another one of those Americans in a foreign land being in a place where it's very dangerous and they shouldn't be because it's dangerous and it's foreign.
Oh, so he was like, everyone's already on board for this.
Yeah.
Let me just tap you for another film.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it's not a bad movie, but it's not great.
That's fair. Let's see. Talked about the tribe some. He would only audition actors who agreed to be vaccinated for yellow fever and to be okay with filming deep in the Amazonian jungle with no bathrooms, surrounded by all manner of wildlife. And then after they finished filming, they did go through and treat everyone for any kind of parasites they may have acquired or could have potentially acquired.
That was nice of them.
Out of the villagers that signed up to be in the film, some of them actually worked behind the scenes as part of the crew. They were interested in how that side of things worked, and they wanted to help out.
That's awesome.
Let's see. The film that came out in theaters was his original cut of the film. He didn't have to tear it down or anything. The MPAA didn't make any requests. They just said, hey, we're going to give this a R, and he said, okay.
That's kind of surprising.
Let's see. As they're coming in on the film, let's see. There were some Christian missionaries present, and they were singing religious songs. And they weren't aware that a movie was being filmed. And they got alarmed as they started dragging out the props and the skeletons and the dead bodies. And it made them sing louder and louder.
That's great.
Which I think is hilarious.
Very hilarious.
Hard shoot. Very hard shoot, of course, as you might expect. They had scorching temperatures that reached about 110 degrees. Some of their Peruvian hired camera crew quit on the first day. I'm sure that it was helpful to have the villagers to fill in for that. The whole cast suffered from numerous bug bites, but in particular, Kirby Bliss Blanton, who played Amy, she got it so bad she had to be hospitalized for a bit.
I could see that.
And let's see what else. Oh, there's some more fun antics with the village children. They apparently went to Eli one day and said they had an idea for the film. And he's like, sure, what is it? And they produced a baby boa constrictor. And they thought it would be funny if it was in the cage with the actresses and they kind of dangled it at them and scared them with it.
Yeah, that is funny.
Eli loved it. He thought that was great. He said, yep, go do that when we start filming. Which they did, and the kids got really into it. And apparently they actually slapped the actresses with the snake. Which I'm sure was also a hard scene to do, but, kids.
Hey, I mean, In their defense, that is pretty funny.
I mentioned it up at the top, but this is one of the few cannibal horror films that has no animal violence in it.
Which I do appreciate, because that's the one thing I do not like about the Italian cannibal films.
And that was, Eli has said in interviews, that was a decided choice by him to not touch that aspect of it.
It's completely unnecessary. Even faked, it's just...
He thought he had plenty he could do just with what was going on in the film, which is probably true. Don't want any of those animal deaths to get in the way of Alejandro jacking it.
Only sperm was killed in this movie.
Let's see. Izo, she nearly drowned during the river scene.
Oh, yeah. I can see that.
They thought she was just giving it her all and really going for it, and then they realized, oh wait, shit, she's actually drowning. And some of that footage was used in the final cut, but not all of it.
May as well use it.
I didn't know this. This is an alleged thing. This is apparently the third and final part of Eli Roth's trilogy called Travel and Punishment.
Oh, Xenophobia trilogy.
Yes. It starts with Cabin Fever, continues with Hostel 1 and 2. He says he considers them like Kill Bill. They're two parts of the same movie.
Of course. Well, I guess Cabin Fever at least was set in America, but it's also like rural America.
Yeah.
So that may as well be a foreign land to some people.
And then concludes with the Green Inferno.
Yeah.
Whatever. Let's see. When it was debuted in a film festival in France, some of the audience fainted. They thought it was too much.
Pussies.
The film was criticized by Survival International, which is a activist group. They campaigned for indigenous peoples and indigenous peoples living in voluntary isolation. They said that the film reinforced colonialism and respectively neo-colonialism, as well as fostering stigmas against indigenous peoples, portraying them as savage.
Does it? What do you think?
Well, let me give you what Eli Roth said. Because he was asked about this, of course. He said, the film's been accused of these things. What do you say? And he said, what's interesting in the controversy comes from the people who haven't seen the film. The Amazon rights group that we showed the film loved it, and they partnered with us to hold a fundraiser in honor of the rainforest.
That's cool. Yeah, I mean...
I think it's a line you're going to inherently tread just making a cannibal film.
Sure.
But I think they did it about the safest way you could, as far as like being respectful to the tribe they were working with. And...
I agree. Plus, I think most people know that it's art. It's a fucking movie. It's not really saying anything like that. I mean, whatever.
It's fiction. This tribe doesn't exist.
Yeah.
First of all.
Right. It's
a fictional tribe. I don't know. This one bothers me the least of like any cannibal film, as far as it being exploitative. Let's see. We talked about the sequel that didn't happen. Eli Roth cameos in the film as one of the activists during the janitor protest in the intro. I always pull Stephen King quotes if he talks about a film, and he actually commented on this one. Of the film, he said, "It's like a glorious throwback to the drive-in movies of my youth. Bloody, gripping, hard to watch, but at the same time, you can't look away."
Yeah, I get that.
It's fair. They do some funny stuff in the credits. They put everyone's Twitter handles that had Twitter handles. And there's some other funny things in there, like...
oh, that was weird.
After the song credits, they have this thing come up that says... it basically thanks everyone in the Italian cannibal genre... And it lists the names of all kinds of different directors and actors and stuff.
Yeah.
There's a message to the tribe that they worked with. It says, made with the generous participation of the people of Calanyacu, Peru. Thank you for welcoming us into your beautiful village. We look forward to dining with you again soon.
Nice. I wonder if they were compensated in any way.
I don't know. Surely, right?
Surely something. Somehow. Yeah, they could have. Yeah. I don't know.
Not a question for us. That's a question for them.
Yeah.
And then, of course, again, it ends with a dedication to Deodato.
Right. Who did have a nice, fun cameo in Hostel 2.
He did, yes.
Movie. As a cannibal.
Let's see. But, the censors. Let's talk about that. So, in Singapore,
oh Jesus,
it had to be edited before it got released with an R21 rating. The distributor was made to remove any instance of strong graphic violence. And that included when they take apart Jonah, and pretty much any of the other major gory parts. If those had been left in, they would have refused to give it a rating. and let it be released.
Singapore, huh?
2 versions came out in Italy on Blu-ray, an uncut version and an edited version that was intended for like 14 and up.
And Italy is the home of the cannibal film.
Which is crazy, right?
Yeah.
That Italian cut, the for 14 and up, I guess it stands for Forbidden Under 14 is what it is, VM14. But they took out the butchering of Jonah, Amy's suicide, Alejandro masturbating, and the death of Lars.
Well, that's all the good
So
stuff.
pretty much all the good stuff. Yeah, that's
Interesting.
That's all my fun facts.
Yeah, I don't think I have anything beyond that. So, what's your reaction to this movie? Because we've both seen it before.
We have seen it before.
It's been a while for me. I hadn't seen it since
Again, I don't enjoy cannibal films. I like this one. I like that it's less about the like scary tribe, and it's more about like the shallowness and the hubris of like half-hearted activism.
Yeah.
Because I think about that a lot, and I think it's one of those things of like, I mean, it's good to have things that you stand for, the things that you care about, but
Sure.
I think eventually there becomes a divide between like shouting about it on the internet, and then like actually seriously trying to do something about it.
Right. Beyond PR stunts.
Beyond PR stunts, like what they do in this film.
This is an extravagant PR stunt, though.
Yeah.
I mean, they did go for it.
Yes. So I think like it's got some good kills. I like the gore in it. I think it's fine.
I mean, what's there is good. I just don't think it went far enough.
I like the pacing of the story. I think Alejandro's a great villain.
Oh, he's a shitbag for sure.
He's a shitbag. You just love to hate him. Again, I think Lorenza Izzo is great as Justine. I think her character is a little bland, but I think that's by design. That's part of the plot.
Because she wants to impress people and be important. And,
And that's really where like I would like a sequel is like, who is she now going forward from this? Like, because she did cover up for the tribe.
Yeah.
Is that the end of her activism?
Be cool if
or
she's like a cannibal now or something.
or does she like devote herself to try to like counter Alejandro and stop whatever he's up to? I don't know. Who
It's
knows?
just a dumb ending.
We'll never
that.
know. But it's got that really bad CGI with the ants. I got a docket for that.
A real actor would have used real bugs.
Or just shot it in a way that like, you know, you wouldn't see it, or it's blocked around it, or we get the idea. But,
Yeah.
that kind of thing. And yeah. So I like how mean-spirited it is. I like its negativity. I like its cynicism. We don't always get that in films. And I think for this film and for the time it came out, to even kind of dance into that area of like, we're going to take the shit take at like half-hearted activism, I think it's a big swing to make.
Oh, it is.
So I think that's very bold, and I appreciate it on that level.
Yeah.
But all told, I would give it like a 3.
Okay. That's good.
It's got good plot,
That's
good
rating.
elements, good pieces to it. But you know, it's kind of clunky. It's got some scenes that don't really need to be in there. It's got some weird CGI.
Yeah.
It's got some other stuff that kind of makes you turn your head and be like, huh.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's an Eli Roth movie.
But I will say, normally with a cannibal film, it's part of it is like I don't really even feel the pull to revisit it. This one's a pretty easy rewatch, I found.
It was, but yeah, I mean, my memories were regarding it as a mediocre film were justified. It is an easy watch. It's like something you just turn on and it's there and it's fine. It's not offensive. It's not great.
And that is where, like, by contrast, Cannibal Holocaust, you see them kill the turtle and then you're just like, fuck, man.
Yeah.
What's going on now?
Right, which I do not condone the animal killing
Right.
one fucking bit. But beside that, and with the movie itself, man, it's a gut punch.
Yeah.
Even if you take out the animal stuff, it's so grotty and so real, you know, and it's just so raw and just ugly. And it just, it leaves an impression, you know, and this is just so slick and clean and modern.
And there's also a level of pullback where this is, like, not found footage. Which
Yeah,
I know
like
not
this.
every cannibal film was, but
Right.
for Holocaust particularly, that's part of the...
Yeah, it's the whole cinema verite thing. It really puts you there. Yeah, it's good. Yeah, and this is just so clean. You know, safe. Man, I'm so jaded. And I don't mean to sound like, oh, I've watched all the extreme horrible things, but I mean, yeah, you know, if you're making a certain type of movie, you got to go for it.
I think this film is great if you're, like, new to the subgenre.
Yeah,
you want to
if this is your first cannibal film, it's a good one to dip your toes into.
Or if you have some moral objections to the animal cruelty stuff,
sure,
here's a safe way to try this subgenre.
Yes.
And you can stop there if you want. You know?
And there are cuts of Cannibal Holocaust that excise all the animal cruelty. So go watch that one if that's been turning you off.
What's your actual rating?
2.5.
2.5. So we're not far off.
It's a fair movie. Yeah. It's not bad. It's not great. And I also sound like I hate Eli Roth, but I don't, because I actually really enjoyed Cabin Fever.
Love Cabin Fever. Love Hostel 1 and 2.
I like Hostel 1 more than 2, but I do like them both.
Thanksgiving
was okay.
It's passable.
It's okay.
Knock Knock is his best. I'll just say that. I
need to watch it.
Hand to God. Knock
I
Knock
don't
is
know
the
why
best.
I haven't yet. I'll amend that. I'll watch that in the substance this week. How's that? Yeah. So it's a fine movie. It's just.
It is. When we sat down to record before we turned on the mics, I said it's one of the movies of all time.
Yep, it is one of the movies of all time.
And I think that's very true.
I had to dock it like half a star just for that ending, that little stinger thing at the end. That is so stupid. Him looking straight up into the satellite.
It's so much more sinister and ominous just to see the Alejandro shirts and know that no matter what happened,
he's like some sort of
he won and got what he wanted.
Yeah.
Well,
definitely not the best cannibal film ever made.
That's the Green Inferno.
Mm-hmm. Sure is.
That brings us to the end of another episode.
It does.
And next episode is motherfucking episode 100. Woo! What has happened to us?
100 episodes.
100 episodes of this shit. Ring the bell, smash that like button, hit subscribe.
Yeah, man, 100 episodes. What are we doing for our 100th episode?
So we're going to shake things up a little bit because you've got some stuff going on.
Yeah, I got a big trip coming up.
You do.
So I'm going to take a little bit of time off.
Yep. It's an extended trip.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you want to talk about it.
Oh, well, I mean, me and my wife are going to England, which I'm really excited about because I've actually never been out of the country.
So cool.
So hopefully it won't be an Eli Roth xenophobic,
Listen, don't stay in any hostels.
Right.
If there's any sexy ladies trying to give you cards about going to anywhere or doing anything, don't do it.
Don't do it, man. Don't do it.
Don't take free drinks.
Right. Yeah. But no, we're really excited about it. So it's going to occupy, it's going to be more like, planning and actual going there. So it's going to be a while.
It's a decent trip too. So you're going to be out of the picture for a while. So we kind of got to cut around that.
Yes. And you, being my dear good friend, have agreed to help look after my cats while I'm gone.
Oh, I'm so excited. We're going to have so much fun.
Dude, that is the hardest part about going on this trip. I'm going to miss my cats so much.
Oh, I hate it. I'm usually good like the first 2 or 3 days, and then I'm like, fuck, man, I miss my cats.
I know, and I've never been away for 2 weeks before, and I'm not going to see them for 2 weeks. Oh, Jesus.
Well, they're going to be so mad when you come back.
They will be. They're going to be so mad. All right, well, you have to entertain them while I'm gone.
I will. I'll try.
Thanks.
I shall try. But in the meantime, so what we're going to do, this next episode 100 will be your last one with us for the year, basically.
Yes.
And we're going to go ahead and do kind of our end of the year, like best horror of the year 2024 kind of thing.
Yes, with a giant big asterisk because Nosferatu is not out yet.
We both know that likely we will list Nosferatu somewhere. Mm-hmm. We just can't talk about it because you will be out of the country when it's around. And
I'll be back before it plays though in the theaters. So I'll definitely will have to hit up and go and check it out.
So you'll be on a little break. What we'll do after that episode, I'm trying to round up some like jokers to come on this show. We will see if that happens. If it doesn't, bare minimum, you're going to get a bunch of the J-Horror Journal. So I hope you like those.
I hope y'all are ready for some J-Horror.
We're going to finish Death Forced. I got 2 films to go.
All right. You can do it.
Hoping one will be stupid so we can get some fun discussion going. But after that, it's freewheeling. We'll just see where it goes. Mm-hmm. And I will run those until you return.
Awesome. Thank you for manning the ship in my absence.
At which point we will be in the new year, and we'll probably do some more like format shake-up stuff.
Yeah.
And then hit the ground running like we always do.
Yeah. Sounds fun.
So for next time, tune in. Be thinking about your favorite horror films you've seen this year. Asterisk barring Nosferatu.
Yes.
I
got a lot to watch.
I got a lot to watch too.
Because there's big ones I have not seen.
May not get to it all. And our Substance is number 1 already. You already know that from me. So.
Apparently. All right. We'll see.
I will gush about it in further detail then.
Okay.
Otherwise, Let us know what you've been up to. Give us your listener suggestions. We will keep piling those up and use them liberally.
What are your favorite 2024 horror films?
Yeah. Send us what some you like now, and maybe we can shore up our list.
Yeah.
Before we commit it to audio.
Sweet.
Hit us up on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram. Email us at genreexposure@gmail.com. And otherwise, you have been listening to Genre Exposure.
Bye, everyone.
Take care.
You're listening to the Prescribed Films Podcast Network, home to hundreds of hours of free podcast entertainment. The shows on this network all have a common goal, providing you with the best discussions about movies and other forms of entertainment media. The PFPN hopes to fill your earholes with audio joy. Visit our website with links to all the other amazing shows at www.thepfpn.com. Thanks for listening.